Spiritual Principles. Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. The second spiritual principle. The moment when a person gets something from someone else, he is ashamed of it. Please see the written materials for the text in Hebrew. Creation is a branch, and the Creator is the root. He is the giver, while the creation is the recipient. Therefore, there is no correspondence of properties here. But it is natural for a branch to want to resemble the root. Therefore, we also see in the material world, in relations between people, at the time when a person receives something from another, he's ashamed of it. As the sages said, a person's face changes when he's ashamed because he feels himself receiving in relation to the giver. Why is he ashamed? It is inherent in the universe. He feels that another is above him, and that he feels, or that he himself does not correspond to him. Since there is no correspondence between the giver and the receiver, it is said that at that time, God forbid, when a person needs something from other creations, then his face changes, resembling the face of the krum bird. Quote from Shlavei HaSulam. See what he tells us. Those who prophesize, saying that salvation is provided by the group study of Kabbalah. Please reference the answer given here by the great teacher, Baruch Ashlag, of such teachings. When a person has a need of other creations, his face changes like the appearance of the krum bird. A person must be completely independent from everyone, and especially from group routine studies of Kabbalah. Look at what he says. Therefore, the Creator made a tikkun, a correction in the worlds. The word tikkun can be translated as establishment. That is, he established something called tzimtzum, restriction in the higher worlds. And that which is established in the higher worlds is the law for the lower. What was the tikkun? What was the tzimtzum? It is that the higher light does not enter the kelim, which have the wish only to receive for their own sake. So that there is no bread of shame, that is, when a person only receives with an outstretched hand, that he receives from above, and he has the shame of receiving on his face. And then, the person begins to align himself with the highest in order to give to the Creator, and even if he receives, it is only to give pleasure to the Creator. The purpose of the Creator is to delight and give pleasure to his creations. If a person receives for his own sake, the principle of bread of shame is triggered, and the person then desires to hide their face in shame from the Creator, for the Creator is good and gives to his creations. Therefore, a person cannot receive anything without feeling shame, for they have not earned merit before the Creator. And only when a person corrects their desire to receive for themselves to the desire to receive in order to give, then there can be a similarity in properties with the Creator. Then the established tikkun, limitation, can be removed. It is very important to understand. In the beginning, there was the first shortage, contraction of the light, tzimtzum aleph. Now, if Malchut desires to receive for its own sake, she does not receive the direct light. Malchut can receive from Zeir Anpin only when she seeks to become like him. This is the greatest rule of the system of the universe, which we need to absorb and work very deeply into ourselves, so that we know There are no miracles in our world, no matter how much I try, grasp, for my own sake. The desire to receive egoistically will continue endlessly, and you will feel like a hangover and overindulgence every time, until you start to work on yourself and limit your desire to receive for oneself. There is a higher spiritual principle, and all of this is inherent in the universe itself. No creation can request anything for its own sake, no matter what it is, no matter what kilim it has, no matter what request it is. If it wants to receive only for its own sake, the higher light is not felt. And therefore, we often see examples that a person who seemed to have achieved everything, but in fact he was disappointed. He did not get anything. A great actor has everything, but is left in the dark, because it is impossible to receive the highlight other than through the correspondence in properties. Light is giving, and therefore one must learn to receive in order to give. And only then you will be able to receive droplets, gradually, only what is necessary that passes through you. But this receiving will be for the sake of giving. Each of us is doing very serious work. I mean our students in the Center for the Lurian Kabbalah. Not a group. We have no such thing. Each of us can be called a like-minded individual, which is also a good name. I always advise my students, and they adhere to this rule, do not give each other any gifts. We work here individually, each on ourselves. If you give a gift to another when you have not corrected yourself yet, then at best he will be ashamed and his face will change. That is, you will cause some kind of imbalance in the receiver. He will feel uncomfortable, as if he owes you something. You enslave him by giving him a gift. On the other hand, it is inconvenient for him not to take it, but on the other hand, you, thereby, voluntarily or involuntarily, impose your authority on him. He had no dependence on you prior, and once you have given him a gift, now he feels some kind of obligation. This may even lead to the fact that he does not want to come to the lessons, and does not even understand why. So be very careful. We try not to take any gifts from each other. It also happens that someone is in good mood, and he transfers some amount of money to us, no matter what it is. For example, we have a person who receives benefits from the social services. We allow everyone to learn everything. It does not matter how much money a person has, as there is no obligation. And suddenly, something came to him, or he somehow accumulated some money, or earned something somewhere. And behold, he donates some money for the center. This is completely different. He's donating it for development, but not a gift. So try not to give gifts in your environment of like-minded people. In another circle, among ordinary people of our world, where it is so accepted, do so. But be very attentive spiritually. Be careful. Address those who work on themselves with love. Do not enslave them with your gifts. If someone comes to class, we study on Thursday for 2.5 hours. About 25 people gather and bring coffee, tea, chocolates. Yes, this happens to us. But for all, not for someone alone. This is certainly acceptable. Everyone knows that this is normal. And thanks, and well, these are all pleasant things that do not oblige anyone, bind them, or enslave them, obscuring the relationship between each individual, and certainly do not try to create group feelings or group relations. At the same time, there is a single contact between us, in some invisible way, without any external attributes of bestowal, by giving to someone, and he feels himself a recipient. This is a very important principle. Remember this. Write it down. Be very careful in dealing with gifts and the like, because our task is an individual correction. Again, because our task is an individual correction. I try, make an effort, and it comes with difficulty. And you need to learn to give to someone without ever wanting anything in return. All studies for this, but still you come to me with gifts. I understand that you bring gifts to show that you care. But the thing is, I want to give to you. And if you can accept my hospitality, then I can give you without desiring anything in return. Then I have a place to work within myself. Otherwise, you take away my place to work. And for us, the main thing is the place of work.